When I first read Seven Habits of Highly Effective People, I realized one thing. I couldn't do it. Everything he was saying may be right, it may be important, it may matter, but I couldn't do it. I couldn't stick to this strict lifestyle. I couldn't be the kind of person that this book was trying to mold me into. I couldn't do it. I wouldn't do it. And I never cared. Well, I guess I cared because I came back to the book again years and years later. My second reading of the Seven Habits of Highly Effective People was entirely different than the first because 4 years later, I had grown quite a lot. In order to have a better understanding of the seven habits, I had to personally grow up. At the beginning of this year, I decided to go sober for the entirety of 2024, which for someone like me was a tall task to undertake. At the same time, I'm trying to lose weight and trying to get in better shape, so I added on no desserts other than on special occasions like my birthday or my brother's wedding. Doing these things has made me understand exactly what Stephen Covey was trying to say. The seven habits of highly effective people are a framework for you to try your best. They're a way to get the best out of every single person who reads them if they're willing to put forth the effort. The ideas in this book are very important and work for every single person who will ever read it. No matter how weak or feeble or lacking in motivation or discipline you are, you can do this. You just have to understand what it is that you're doing it for. You have to write that personal mission statement. You have to know what your values are and become a disciple to them. Welcome to Learning to Be Human. This is our final episode, episode 10, of our review of the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Today I'm going to talk about 2 very important points that encompass the entirety of this book. 2 points that I believe get lost in the minutia, in the little things and the little details and all the stuff you have to remember. We forget about the big, the most important overarching parts of the entire book. The thing that sets this book apart from many others is the fact that it makes you focus on yourself and your ability before it decides for you to, before you are ready to tackle problems with your community, with your family, with your friends. It talks about private victory. And I love how he says victory, because that's exactly how it feels when you start enacting these habits in your daily life. When you start being proactive and looking at challenges as ways to improve as opposed to roadblocks that are in your way. When you put first things first and care about only the important things, the things that matter that aren't currently the most pressing in your life. When you start exercising, trying to eat right, trying to take care of your dogs and train them, trying to make sure that your kid isn't so annoying that you want to shoot him every day. It's hard, but these habits make it possible. Beginning with the end in mind is also very important because it helps you build a framework with which you can be that role model for your son, for your brother, for your teammates. Without that initial beginning with the end in mind and that framework of who you want to be, it becomes very difficult to have a private victory. This private victory will springboard you into feeling confident, into feeling capable and able and courageous and collaborative. Without the private victory, the public victory will be impossible. Without private victory, public victory is impossible. You will not be able to be synergistic with your surroundings if you don't believe in yourself, and if you don't have an understanding of how to succeed inside of who you are. The next step and the next 3 habits are about public victory. Public victory starts with the idea that we must think win-win. We can't go into situations thinking it's my way or the highway, or else nothing will ever get done. We also can't go into situations believing that we are lesser than other people. We are all equals with strengths and weaknesses that can be accentuated to make us look good and bad. You also have to start listening before you try to speak. Seek to understand before you are understood. A great way he puts it is you got to diagnose before you prescribe. If you don't know what the illness is, how can you give the proper medication? How can you be of any help at all if you have no idea what the hell the problem is? And finally, synergize, which is the culmination of those two other habits, living your life in a way that is constantly seeking third alternatives and ways for both parties to come out feeling victorious, as well as being able to hear other people, sympathize and empathize in a way that is critical, that is creative, that is critical thinking based, and that will actually help people in the long run. Public victory is something that I personally have a great deal of problems with. As I said in a previous episode, I regularly look at people that I collaborate with, people that I'm on a team with, people that are in my class as rivals, as if we couldn't all get A's, as if we couldn't all be successful members of this team. No, I had to be the best, the most dominant, the leader. I had to be in charge. And if I wasn't, because either someone was more capable or someone tried harder than me, I hated them. I hated them as a person, not just what they were doing. I would hold a grudge for years and years about why it was that they were wrong and I was right. That did nothing to serve me. And I believe that part of this came from the idea that I had never figured out in myself what I cared about. I had never really looked inside and figured out what my values were and why it was that these petty little issues of being the best didn't matter anymore. I believe that with private victory, the thing that made me understand it better was actually practicing it in my real life. Picking things to get over, to become better at, to grow in, and saying that I will not give up until I have reached the peak that I wish to be at. Without that lesson through life, without that understanding through trial, I never would have even been able to start making these videos. And looking at that, I started to think about the idea of public victory, which is something that I still struggle with and I don't know how to tackle. But maybe if I go out and I join a team and I actively try to put these habits into place and find third alternatives and listen empathetically, that maybe I'll be able to take these lessons that I learned from private victory and put them forward into my public life and have a public victory. Because that's my goal in the end. My goal is to help people. My goal is to be the kind of person that stands in front and is a role model for those that come for those that come behind me. And I've always been scared and living in the shadow of this dream I have. But now I realize that I have to try, that I have to put my best foot forward and give it my all. Because that's the only way I will find any fulfillment in this short life we live. I'll leave you with this one note. Many people look at self-help books as a way to find a cheat code, an easy way out. But after reading this book, I realized that the cheat code is not easy, that the cheat code is actually harder than anyone would ever tell you it is. The cheat code is the hard way. These books show you the hard way, the way people don't want to acknowledge, and the way that will work. So remember in your daily life that sometimes a cheat code is significantly harder than you ever thought it would be. Have a great day. Goodbye.